Ladies and gentlemen, welcome into Honor the Land. I am Max Loeb. He is Chef Zay. This is Big Play Sports Network. And everybody, Zay, can you give me a drum roll, please? We have a football game this week. If you're watching this live on Thursday night, we got a football game tonight, not the Browns. The Browns play the Carolina Panthers Friday night, August 8th at 7 p.m. Zay, it's been a crazy week leading up to this game. How you feeling?
As you can see, I'm ready. It's perfect timing here in the land right now. Even though we still got to battle all of the quarterback rumors and all of that good stuff, I feel pumped. I feel ready to go. And I feel like I have that 2023 vibe flowing through me. Now, is it the early stage 2023? I hope not. I hope it's that back end 2023. I'm feeling good, man. I know you're a bigger football guy than me. I know you got to be pumped.
I'm excited. Yeah, I'm excited to watch every game this weekend. This is one of the first times I think this is largely attributed to the Bengals' historic slow starts that everybody's kind of going out of their way to play starters in the preseason a little bit more. I saw today that Patrick Mahomes is going to be playing quarter. Obviously, Joe Burrow and those guys. Josh Allen will not be, but a lot of starters will be playing. For the Browns, it's usually been the second game. That's what it seems like this year. But this Friday, Shedeur Sanders starting with Tyler Huntley taking the second set of reps. Last time we recorded, we were talking about the Browns losing Tyler Huntley and the impacts of that on the quarterback room last year. We didn't even think it was feasible that the Browns would bring him back to the team. After signing him, cutting him, watching right in front of their eyes, Tyler Huntley beat them, and then bringing him back. What was the initial reaction? I know mine was more emotional. What was your initial reaction to Tyler Huntley coming back?
I was like, is my phone broke? I'm like, what's going on right now? Did we really just sign Tyler Huntley? What was that? Like, that was the biggest question mark to me. And I get the whole, well, it's just an extra body to have in camp. Bro, we have enough bodies in camp. You know what I found more interesting other than the Tyler Huntley?
What?
Deshaun Watson being out on the field at practice. What do we think about that? Like, for a guy who's on IR, who's not going to be even in the conversation for months, he said he was going to take Shedeur under his wing. Is that part of that? What is the strategic plan behind having Deshaun Watson on the field?
I don't know. Honestly, I really don't. I think this is more Deshaun Watson trying to be around a little bit more. I've said it a couple times. I don't think it should happen, but I think it's a reality. Deshaun Watson is on the active roster at some point this year. If that does happen,
keep saying he's going to play.
Yeah, well, I gave the Joe Milton scenario. That's the only scenario he does play this year. But I watched Martin Emerson's YouTube video, and he was interacting with Watson and talking with Watson in the locker room. That's a perspective for Martin Emerson on somebody who's trying to actively come back from a season-ending injury.
Achilles too.
Yeah, for me, it's more just Watson showing face and being a good teammate or trying to be a good teammate than anything else. I'm not really reading too much into the quarterback room, but you're right. I mean, the Tyler Huntley thing, it is an extra body. I wouldn't even go so far to say it's camp unless he really plays well. I literally think it's an extra body for this preseason game.
Just this one. So after this preseason game, he's deuces.
I think that's a reality. I think there's a world where, because the reality with the Browns signing Tyler Huntley, even though I'm sure some of you guys saw my Twitter tirade, even though it was an emotional thing, like, what the hell are they doing? It makes perfect sense because the Browns don't want to roll out one of their two rookie quarterbacks for an entire preseason game when Dillon Gabriel and Kenny Pickett are hurt and can't play. It makes absolutely no sense. You need another body. And one of that body that's coming in was a guy who was in the offense last season. It makes a lot of sense, even though you're like, why are they doing this? 6 quarterbacks, all the memes. It makes sense.
See, but here you mentioned the thing that I want to get into, which is the injury thing. You bring in Tyler Huntley, and then you automatically rule out Dillon Gabriel and Kenny Pickett, but yet they're getting equal amount of reps in their joint practices. If he's that limited, why not just let him get some reps in the preseason? Like, that's the thing that's kind of throwing me for a little bit. And the whole, well, they're sabotaging Shedeur because they're not giving him the reps. I don't think it's purposely doing it that way. I just wonder, like, you're giving this guy the start. You probably want to give him the best opportunity to make, have an opportunity to play with some of the guys that he hasn't played with yet, but yet you're still giving those reps to guys that are supposed to be injured. What's that about?
Well, 2 things. Number one, they were 7-on-7 reps, so it's not full team reps, which is important to note. And Kenny Pickett and Dillon Gabriel, who wouldn't be getting rushed by defensive linemen across from them and even have the small chance if they're wearing the non-contact jerseys of getting hit. Like, there's no risk of that. That's why Pickett and Gabriel got those reps. But here's my thing. I think it is a completely ass-backwards way of thinking to look at a joint practice, full pads against starting players who you're going to line up, at least in the caliber of, across from you week 1 and say, let's give him to our fourth-string quarterback. I don't think Shedeur Sanders should be the fourth-string quarterback. I don't think that should be the case. But the reality with the depth chart right now is that he is. So you need to give those reps to the guy who you think is going to start week 1, and that's Joe Flacco. And then you distribute them equally across the rest, how you think it'll shake out. Because the reality is Shedeur Sanders, is not getting first-team reps with Jerry Jeudy and Cedric Tillman. He's not thrown to him this weekend. This joint practice is an opportunity for you to go best on best and also just get a look at a different defense before you go play a game against the defense that you're going to be seeing in practice. It doesn't count. It almost doesn't matter. You're using it for evaluation, and there's no world where people should be getting genuinely upset about the current starting quarterback getting first-team reps against the opposing starting defense. It makes no sense to me.
No, yeah, the whole Joe Flacco, he needs the reps for sure. If you can refresh my memory, how did Russell Wilson and Dak Prescott get ushered in? Because if I remember correctly, didn't the Seahawks just give who was that? Castle? Was it Castle? Who was it? Flynn.
Matt Flynn.
They gave him a bag. And then he came in. And then was Tony Romo still there with Dak?
I believe Romo was hurt. And Dak, I think, started week 1, and he just kept playing well. I don't see the Russell Wilson one. I don't really remember. I feel like Russell Wilson, it was similar. I don't know why he started, but it was almost you played too well to lose the job.
And that's where I'm at right now. It's like I get the whole Joe Flacco's going to be the starter, but everybody's so harped on this. Who's the quarterback of the future? What if the quarterback of the future is on your roster now? Like, it's one thing, like, I get we have to take all of these reps in practice with a grain of salt, especially in training camp and the preseason games where guys are probably not going to be on the roster. But if it comes to a point where it's like he's throwing 70% with 6 touchdowns, no interceptions, he's making the right reads, he's first in for last out, he's excelling in the meeting rooms, when does it come a point where it's like, okay, at this point we have to force our hand? He has to move up. We have to actually give him a chance. I'm afraid that, let's just say he somehow, some way, he's flawless these first 3 preseason games. Flawless. Where do you have him on the depth chart? Are you afraid to move him up to the backup? Are you afraid to let him get a start? If he's the best quarterback on the field, how do you evaluate that?
It's tough. I don't think there's any world he starts week 1 unless there's injuries. Knock on wood, no injuries.
Please, no, Joe. Please.
That's a great question, because if he plays really well this first preseason game, I'm sure he'll play in the next 1 or even all 3 of them. How do you rationalize, again, a guy who, from the public eye, from us who have been at training camp, how do you rationalize continuing to put Dylan Gabriel ahead of him? Because you picked him higher? Like, I get it. I understand that rationale at the beginning of camp. But after you see a month's worth of work, you have to start asking the question, is Dylan Gabriel truly a better option than Shedeur Sanders? And I have said this a couple times. I think the preseason is the big indicator in that, like, live reps, what happens when you get hit, how do you respond? But from everything we've seen so far, it makes you think the trajectory is Shedeur Sanders here and Dylan Gabriel here. So I don't know if there is a world that happens, at least based on training camp. We are going to talk a little bit more about the quarterback situation later on, but we want to do a brief recap of training camp up next on Honor the Land on Big Play Sports Network. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back into Honor the Land on Big Play Sports Network. I am Max Loeb, he is Chef Zay, and we're going to give you a brief recap of training camp. Obviously, you guys have been following us on socials, following Honor the Land on socials, and have been seeing everything we're saying, but we want to put a bow on this by giving our biggest winners and losers of training camp. Zay, I mean, I think we're going to agree a big winner is Shedeur Sanders. Do you want to talk a little bit more about that before we get into the others?
No, I think we've talked about Shedeur a lot over the months.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that's been the case. But I have been looking at the receiver room. I've been really digging deep into there and trying to figure out who can step up and who can earn a spot on this roster. And it's odd because I don't know if it had this much to do with his training camp performance, but seeing the utilization of him to the public eye, DeAndre Carter to me is a huge winner from training camp. First team in all of the team's periods, making plays as an inside receiver in the team periods, the 11-on-11 periods. We have talked so much about Luke Floria, who has sat here, who's been unbelievable. We have talked so much about number 84, Gage Larvadain, who has been unbelievable as well. Those guys that are fighting to make the roster. while overlooking a guy who's been in the league for a few years and can contribute on special teams in DeAndre Carter. Just seeing where he's being utilized to the public eye, it's literally been a guy that has not been talked about, and he is going to be a focal point on the Browns' offense and special teams.
Yeah, I mean, I get a little nervous when we connect special team guys in the Browns because Jakeem Grant's fresh on the brain. Like, we were so hyped to see him. But maybe Carter could actually be a guy that's just not going to be looked at as a return guy and does get some reps in that slot position. I think I'm gonna take a guy that you were focused on earlier in the preseason and give him a winner spot for a few reasons. DeJuan Jones, I think, obviously, number one, getting healthy. That's the biggest win that you can have. But number two, him losing the weight is also massive. It's clear, you can see it visually and also while he's on the field. And I think number three, the biggest reason is he's going up against Myles Garrett, and they've talked about it every single day on the radio, where it's like Myles Garrett is giving him the best that he's going to see. How beneficial is it to learn a position and get to go against the best edge rusher in the league in practice every single day? So that's going to do wonders for him. If he's getting dominated in practice, that means it's going to be easier in the game because you're not going up against Myles Garrett. So I'm super excited for DeJuan Jones. If we can solidify that left side, it's a position that we don't have to worry about moving forward. And you're going to have to be looking at this offensive line moving forward, which these two picks, if you knock one of these quarterbacks out, I imagine one of the first two picks next year is going to be an offensive lineman, seeing as though Joel's probably out the way, Wyatt Teller's going to be coming up, and so forth and so on. So
what's nice about replacing those guys is a lot of times you don't even need to use those top picks on them.
True.
That early second round is a prime spot to take a guard or a center. Yeah, I'm totally with you. It's really funny you brought up the Myles Garrett thing because I watch clips of DeJuan Jones going up against other pass rushers in the 11-on-11 periods. I watch some of the one-on-one reps from the Carolina joint practice. I mean, he's killing these guys. Like, they're not going anywhere. They're hitting
like
the
a bear.
ground. Yes, they're hitting the ground. Like, they're not going anywhere. And then you watch 11-on-11, and Myles Garrett's cooking them.
Yeah.
That's the reality of it, guys. And you can see clips of DeJuan Jones just getting beat, fanning on a move, getting his hands pushed by, and you're like, this guy can't do it. That's the best pass rusher in the NFL across from, guys. Iron sharpens iron. He's learning, and he's becoming the left tackle that we want him to, and his body looks physically different. Another guy who we've talked about a bunch, Carson Schlesinger. I think just watching the individual drills, he moves differently. I've said that probably a dozen times. Carson Schlesinger moves differently compared to the other linebackers in the room. And then we got into a full tempo, full tackle to the ground period, and the pursuit is unbelievable. Jim Schwartz preaches everybody flying to the ball, 11 helmets to the ball, however you want to slice it. Carson Schlesinger is embodying that, and it was so clear to see plays that looked dead to rights. I think it was Dylan Sampson, if I'm not mistaken, broke something to the outside, and Carson Schlesinger is flying in from 5-10 yards away and finishing the play. Like, that stuff matters. He moves differently. He has elite pursuit. This guy is going to be special. I can truly believe that.
I'll probably have to add a Carson Schlesinger jersey. I just remember draft day. Number one, I was at the funeral when he got drafted. So I'm like, the pick comes in. I'm sitting here at the funeral. I'm like, oh my gosh, I got to go make this video. Like, what are we doing here? It's just like, there's so many other guys that we could go. It still throws me for a loop. They went defense twice, but I think he might be my favorite pick out of this year. Like, obviously, Shedeur is there, but in terms of what he can do for this franchise, not just this year, but probably for, like, we're talking a decade.
Down
like,
the line, yeah,
right?
for sure.
This should be a Cleveland Brown forever. We should be talking about him and the Clay Matthews type of conversation. I don't know who it was on the radio that they were interviewing, but they came on and they said, you know, watching the tape when he was in college, it was hard to really get a feel for the other defensive players because every single clip that you watched, Carson was in there making the play.
Yeah.
Injecting this into this defense and then with the expectation with this front seven, which we've already been seeing glimpses of in practice, this could be a recipe for success. And then, oh, by the way, let's pray to God that JOK is okay because those boys next to each other, we talk about Ray Lewis and Sizzle.
Yeah, it's a good point about the other guys. I don't want to get too far down the line because it'll get you excited and you're going to get let down. But Martin Emerson and JOK on this defense, if they were healthy, I mean, this is one of the 5-ish best units in the league. Like, it would be scary. But I'm curious, obviously, we went to camp, we watched all this stuff. Who are your big losers? Who are guys that didn't live up to the expectation you thought they would?
It's not a hot take, but I think if I was Kevin Stefanski, it would be hot. Is Dylan Gabriel considered a bigger loser? And I'm not gonna say like what he's done to this point is bad. Like I think Dylan Gabriel for where he's been drafted for, I think the expectation is higher than what we should have him at. But knowing how much the coaches and these guys are propping you up to be the guy, and just not fully, what's the word? And not fully grasping the opportunity and making the most out of it, that sucks.
Yes,
because now and then the injuries come with it. So I would honestly say the biggest losers as a whole would just be the quarterback room minus Joe.
Okay.
Because there's just so much direction being pulled this way and that way. You got obviously they liked Kenny Pickett and they liked Dylan Gabriel, but yet somehow Shedeur is rising to the top, and now they have to worry about this. I just think it's a very, very tough position for them to be in, and quite frankly, I can't think of any other loser stuff right now because the season to be here, and if we're 2-5, we'll be thinking about enough losing. So I'm trying to think positive.
Okay,
right
I like
now.
that. Yeah, I'm not singling out an individual either, but my gosh, am I terrified of the defensive depth. It is scary. And Martin Emerson going down does not help this whole thing.
I thought you were going to say the offensive line.
Offensive line depth is an issue too, but we didn't really see too much of Tevin Jenkins. That was one of the bigger signings offseason. So I'm not completely throwing in the towel on that, but I mean, the defensive line depth is solid and you like the interior, but man, am I worried about these corners one-on-one with some of these guys. Safety room, there just isn't depth there. I shouldn't even say defense, back seven depth. Even just the back seven in general, is that a crazy take? I'm a little worried about it. Carson Schwarzenegger's great. You got one of the best corners in the NFL. Grant Delpit's been good. Greg Newsome has been good at times too. Ronnie Hickman was asked to be in a bigger role last year. Didn't show up. The other two linebackers, I don't know. I'm worried.
I just think I'm banking on the recipe for 2023 was front was dominant, made it so much easier for the back, 100%. Right? And I think that's what they have to lean into. Somebody has to step up to the plate in the secondary, whether it's Ronnie Hickman, whether it's Pharaoh Brown, who had an interception in the joint practice if he makes the team, whether it's Cam Mitchell, whoever it is. You can't just I think this is where Newsome can really gain a lot of respect, because if you can, you know what Warren's going to do, you know what Denzel's going to do. But if you can not have to worry as much about Newsome, you can have a little bit of leeway, because I think Grant Delpit can make up for a little bit of that slack on the other side. And obviously, I think Carson Schwarzenegger is just going to be he's going to be everywhere, so he'll be there to help. It all comes down to what's Myles Garrett doing and Mason Graham doing. Those are the two key pieces for the second, which is weird to say because it's like, well, we're not talking about that. But if they get to the quarterback in 2 seconds, you only got to guard for 2 seconds.
You're right, and we've talked about that a bunch. Talked about it last week. Don't forget about Mike Hall either. He should.
Oh, I keep forgetting about Mike Hall.
I know, and that's a huge piece of the defense too, because he's unbelievably athletic, and you can pin your ears back with a lot of guys in that defensive line if they're quick and can move like those guys can. But we're going to move on to Never Sunny and Bria, talking a little bit more about the quarterback room as well as a couple other people in that Browns building up next on Honor the Land on Big Play Sports Network. Welcome back into Honor Land on Big Play Sports Network. I'm Max Loeb, he is Chef Zay, and this is Never Sunny in Berea, the segment where we attribute weather reports to 3 groups of people or people in the Cleveland Browns world. We have to start with the quarterback room. I don't know if we've done quarterbacks for Never Sunny in Berea anytime recently, have we?
I think it was, 2 shows ago, maybe? 3
okay.
This
okay,
was
so
right
somewhat recently.
This was right when the Shedeur did something.
Maybe it was post-camp.
Was it right before we
went? I think it was, right after, the day after we went. But regardless, we've done a really good job of just taking the quarterback news as it's been going, not going over the top. I'm ready to go over the top for this segment and for a couple more. Let's do it. I'm curious. Weather report on the quarterback room right now.
Dang, it sounds like it's doom and gloom in your world right now.
Yeah. We'll see. We'll get there.
I think it's kind of like, it's like you could see there's rain ahead of you. Like me personally, I'm in the sunny era right here, but I see the rain. It almost like the Carolina rain. If you see the clips of yesterday, it was just one of those days where it's like, I'd rather just be in the house. And the only reason why it's like that is because of the whole thing. But the reason why I'm in the sunny spot, we know who week 1 is. I don't care what this whole quarterback competition thing that they're trying to feed down our throats. Like, Joe Flacco's going to be quarterback week 1. I think we know that. And that's why I'm sitting in the sunny spot. But sure enough, about 100, 200 yards ahead of us, there's rain up there, and that's Dylan Gabriel, Kenny Pickett, and Shedeur Sanders. And I'm telling you now, if that lightning bolt hits the ground, a.k.a. Shedeur Sanders, It may just flood into the sunny era.
I like that. Before I get my weather report, on a scale of 1 to 10, I'm very curious. On a scale of 1 to 10, how pissed would you be if Kenny Pickett was named the Week 1 starter?
Oh boy, we may have to do an emergency show if that happens.
So like, give me a number 1 through 10, because like,
12.
But the thing is, like, would you rather have Kenny Pickett over Dylan Gabriel over Kenny Pickett Week 1?
Yes.
No. Oh, you would. Interesting. Okay.
Just get it out the way, and done. Because I think we'll end up seeing most of these quarterbacks anyway, and you've already, if he's as good as you guys are claiming him to be, you should put him in the best position to succeed. Period.
All right, rank how much you'd want to see each of the 4 quarterbacks. We'll leave out Tyler Huntley. Start Week 1. Rank them.
Joe Flacco 1, Shedeur 2. We're assuming Kenny Pickett's on the roster, right?
Yes. Let's say Pickett and Gabriel are your last 2. Snoop Huntley is off the roster.
Gabriel 3, Kenny 4. I just don't want to. Kenny does nothing for me other than he'll win some games, and it'll be a long, dragging conversation of why we should keep him in the offseason or why we shouldn't keep him. And it does nothing for you moving forward in the future unless he comes out and is Nick Foles.
What if he is Nick Foles? That'd be crazy.
That would be just about as Cleveland Brown as it can be.
Hey, guess what? We won a Super Bowl with the Philadelphia Eagles just like Nick Foles did. No, but I honestly think my weather report is kind of similar to yours, but the one piece of weather that everybody's waiting for is Joe Flacco. You know those days, actually, we experienced it at camp when we went and sat in the bleachers together. The second day we went together. It's so hot out. The sun is beating down, but there's one huge cloud in the sky that's going to stop that sun and give you 10 to 15 minutes of shade. I think that's exactly what's going on with the Browns quarterback room right now. Like, you feel the heat. You feel the pressure of deciding between Shedeur Sanders and Dylan Gabriel. You feel the pressure of whatever they're going to do with Kenny Pickett, whatever they're going to do now, Tyler Huntley. But there's a big cloud that's going to come in and kind of take the heat away from you, protect you a little bit, and that's Joe Flacco.
I like that.
I think Joe Flacco, for as long as he will play, will be that cloud. I hope, we talked about this before the show started, all 17 games of Flacco, that cloud moves really slow and Flacco plays really well, and Flacco just is the best quarterback on the roster, and they're winning games. You can't take him out. But I don't know how fast that cloud's going to move, but I think Joe Flacco is that protective cloud from the 95-degree sun.
If Joe Flacco comes out and wins the first 2 games, the city is going to be on freaking fire.
Yeah, and there's a lot of negativity with the Browns. I think first 2 is a little,
especially who you're going with.
But why can't I actually don't? There's so many people in so many circles talking about Week 1 like it's this foregone conclusion. The Bengals are going to blow them out. Why can't they win Week 1?
Bengals historically over the past, I think the entire Joe Burrow era have not won in the first 2 weeks of the season. I think every year he's been in the league, maybe it's 1 or 2, but I know for a fact they always start out slow.
Yeah.
And we played them first Week 1 a couple years ago.
Yeah, and beat them.
And they didn't score a touchdown that day. So it's like, my thing is, it's like we also keep forgetting Joe Flacco has played these teams, the 2 teams that he's going up, knows them very well in Baltimore and Cincy, and he didn't get to play them in 2023. And by the way, so you get to come out against Cincy, and then you get to play your former team and the guy who took your spot. You think Joe Flacco's not about to be charged up for these first 2 games? He know, number 1, he's the vet. Number 2, he already knows the importance of an AFC North game.
Yeah.
And then number 3, just the sheer I'm going to make you regret it. You know?
Absolutely. And I think the Lamar revenge game is going to be really interesting to watch.
Fun.
But I'm with you. I mean, it's a game where the Browns have historically been good against the Bengals. I just think you can look deeper than that history. Like, the Browns are going to tee off on Joe Burrow. That offensive line has been brutal. And the Browns have a great defensive line. That is the key to victory in that game. We'll talk about that in like a month. But
hurry up.
Actually, it's a month exactly from today. Today's 7th, right?
That means this is going to take forever to get here.
I know, it will. But we're going to have a lot of fun. Let's talk about Andrew Berry, though, because the move that he made with Tyler Huntley seemed out of the blue. Thought about it for a little bit. Okay, this makes a little bit of sense. But I'm curious, how are you feeling about this whole roster construction amidst everything? I don't even know. I can't pinpoint certain things anymore. It's just the off season.
I've always been a big Andrew Berry supporter, and I've got some crap for it. I feel like since the season is here now and we got football, I feel like I've put Andrew Berry to the back of my head because I do think that it's hard to really give Andrew Berry this harsh grade Oh, well, he doesn't draft Pro Bowlers. He doesn't draft these all pros and da 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 da. Well, it's like for the first 3 years, he didn't have a first round pick, so that kind of hurts. I mean,
Really
but,
hurts.
But then you had Jedrick Wills and Greg Newsome. Greg Newsome was a hit. I don't care what people say. Jedrick Wills wasn't the worst. It just sucks when you literally could have picked a walking Hall of Famer who's on the trajectory to be a walking Hall of Famer in Tristan Wirfs. Yeah. But it's hard to give him a grade, especially with that trade, because I told you before, I do that trade 10 times out of 10. But I just think back to who he loves the most. Who's his favorite GM? Howie Roseman over there in the Eagle of Philadelphia. And I just look at what they did, and then I kind of look at what we're doing, and I'm like, I can see what he's trying to do. Now, has he had the type of success that they've had? No. But I can see that he's at least, there's a plan, there's like an actual plan, and he's trying. But eventually it comes to a point where you need results, right? Like trying can only get you so far, and you need results. So that's where I'm at.
Real bad.
Really bad, especially at 3-14.
We've talked about it. We don't really think he's on the hot seat this year.
No, I don't think he is.
I think his seat's probably a little cooler than Kevin Stefanski's too.
I don't think they're a package deal.
I agree. I also don't think Stefanski should be on the hot seat. But regardless, it's weird. It's like you brought up the, for lack of a better phrase, like the Walmart version of Howie Roseman in his approach, and that's all well and good. But I'm just kind of waiting for something. I don't know what weather we're all waiting. I'm kind of waiting for fall weather right now, but we're all waiting for the next season when it gets to fall and you're like, okay, this is great, but it's starting to get 35 degrees. Can it just get 30 and start snow? Like all this stuff. We're waiting for the next weather turn with Andrew Berry. I think that's where I'm at. But I want to finish by talking about the Cleveland media as a whole, which includes us. It does include us. So we gotta be a little accountable here, talk about our takes and everything like that. But the last 48 hours with the rep distribution, which we'll talk about in the next segment, has been one of the, I think, the lowest points in Browns social media in the past decade. It's been insane.
People just want to be right now.
Yeah.
You know, that's really what it boils down to, and that's why it sucks with the world and the age of social media that we're in, because it's the comment. I'm sure you've seen it a bunch. Oh, you give anybody a microphone and they think they know what to talk. It's like, bro, you could do the same thing. Like nobody's stopping you. Yeah. But it's just weird because I think this is a transition in media. Everybody does have an opinion, and everybody can make some valid points. And just because you don't have 20 years into the industry doesn't mean that your point isn't any more valid. But here's what I'll say about the Cleveland media. For all of the Mary Kay haters out there, do we not know that it's like, whether you like her or not, she just got inducted into the Hall of Fame. Like, she's as close as we can get.
Yes.
I don't think she's going to put out BS information if she hasn't been told something about it. Like, you don't get into the Hall of Fame just because you are crap at your job. So it's a tough position to be in. I do think the agendas are, well, oh, they said this. No, they're not sad. Why would they want to sad? Just let it, bro. Can we just play football at this point? That's where I'm at. Just play football. Let this thing happen. And then once we get some footage and we get some tape and we can do all these things, then we can start to dissect it a little more. But Shedeur ain't even took a damn snap yet.
Yep, exactly. No more stat graphs on Twitter, guys. We get to see.
Oh, that's coming.
We get to see. Well, yeah, but it's going to come in a real game. It means something now. Like I've talked about, I think I've said it every single time we talk about the preseason. What's going to happen when you get hit in the face?
We've seen him get hit in the face, though. We know that.
And it hasn't gone well.
The BYU, everybody goes to the BYU game, but I've seen countless highlights of Shedeur standing in the pocket and getting absolutely mauled.
Yeah.
And delivering a strike.
See, honestly, what I was more referring to, which I think has changed now, was the perception in terms of the offensive line of Colorado, which is a whole other thing. Mm-hmm. But like in a real game, you're getting hit by an NFL player. How are you going to respond? We get to see that translate to the stat sheet. I am pumped for that. I think the Cleveland media is in. I don't think I can call it the darkest day because it's so great with a lot of the stuff that's going on, stuff that we're like the change in media. I think overall is a good thing. It has its negatives too, but it's good. But I can't go on to Twitter without getting upset nowadays.
Bro, I'm telling you, Twitter's the worst platform there is. It's not even close.
It's unreal for debating sports, and then you realize you could be debating with a bot. You could be debating with somebody who, like you said, is just trying to push an agenda and who has nothing behind it. I don't know. I think it's stormy. Sometimes in the storm, there are the brief moments where you see a rainbow and it's beautiful out. But I think overall, it's a little stormy in Cleveland.
I think we passed the. I think it's still dark, but nothing. I don't think will ever compare to Radio Row. I
Yeah,
think that time frame might have been one of the darkest periods, and then followed that up with, "Oh yeah, see you later, Nick Chubb."
Yeah.
That was some of the darkest time. Do you remember how dark it was just a few months ago? We were talking about how down bad it was. Like, it's a little dark now just because of but that's typical us going at it. Like, I can get with some of that. But where were we at just a couple months ago,
It was
bro?
bad.
It was bad.
It was
And I'm
bad.
telling you now, it can get there again. Don't think that it can't, because I thought last year was bad. By week 10, I'm like, yeah, this is bad. Don't look away, because we could very easily be under the dirt that we're standing on right now.
Guys, that was 6 months ago to the day.
Really?
Super Bowl was February 9th, and Myles Garrett, I mean, he was going around February 5th, 6th, 7th. So that was 6 months ago to the day. You could have told me that was 6 years ago. I would have believed you.
A lot changes in 6 months.
Unreal.
6 months from now, maybe the Browns are in the Super Bowl. All right, we're going to move on from this discussion of the Cleveland media, talk a little bit more about the quarterback room, as well as the outlook of the preseason defense and offense, up next on Honored Land on Big Play Sports Network. Welcome back into Honored Land on Big Play Sports Network. I am Max Loeb. He is Chef Zay. And we are on the verge of the Browns' first preseason game against the Carolina Panthers, 7 p.m. on the road. Shedeur Sanders starting. We got to talk about the reps, both in the game as well as the day or two preceding that fateful Friday preseason game. I mentioned it in a video. You mentioned it in a video. I want to ask and confirm. You think this is going to be the most watched preseason game of all time? I think it will be.
It's got to be up there, right? I looked back at some of the numbers. The Browns actually had, in 1999, it was like 15 million. Was that the number? When they had first came back. They also had another game with the Jets that got 6.7 or somewhere around that area. I'm wondering, where's prime time gonna be? You know, he told Dad not to come to practices. Is Deion Sanders gonna be there? How close is he gonna be?
I would guess no.
But-
Colorado's got to be in it right now, right?
Well, here's what I'll say. He told him he didn't want to see him in that situation. He said, wait until I get more reps.
Good point.
He's going to get 2-3 quarters worth of reps.
Yeah.
I just think about all of the athletes. You're going to go on X and you're going to see Deion, the first throw, it's going to be highlight,
Yep.
retweet. And for the whole day, I pray that there's no interceptions or pick sixes, because boy, oh boy, that show's going to be it's gonna be something to talk about.
Yeah. Do you think he plays more than a half?
I think he should.
Do you think he does though? I go back to where, like, my outlook on the preseason, and I think the preseason plan is see if Dylan Gabriel or Shedeur Sanders can prove us wrong enough that we make them the backup over Kenny Pickett. I think that is the overall viewpoint of the quarterback room. I don't think Joe Flacco's going to play.
No, he's not.
I think you want to see Shedeur Sanders in 3 different environments more than you want to see him for, let's call it, 9 quarters compared to 7.
Here's what will make me upset in the whole situation is if Shedeur Sanders, let's just say the first drive comes out and the running back fumbles, so that's one drive that you're already out. Carolina comes down, they have a 7-minute drive, execute that. Then Shedeur comes out the next series and only gets 4 or 5, 6 plays. And then he'll the next 2 drives after that will take you into the second-ish quarter. He'll throw a touchdown and he'll get you in field goal position. He'll give you 10 points. And then you don't bring him out in the third quarter. It's like, that's not enough. Like, that's what I'm like. Everyone's worried about the whole sabotaging thing. If Shedeur Sanders comes out in these first couple drives and lights it up, and then it's just like, oh, that's all the Shedeur we're gonna get. We don't need to see no more. That will piss me off.
I don't think that's sabotage. Like,
No, I don't think. I'm not gonna say. I'm not feeding into the sabotage theory. I'm just saying it's not a good look, because it's like, why is that enough? And then, so you're going to bench him, and then he's going to fall back into the depth chart at 4. I thought this was a QB competition.
Would he, though? That's my question. I think as much as Stefanski Actually, I can't even speak for him. Like, I don't know if he wants to be right with Dylan Gabriel more than he wants to be right
he
with
does.
Shedeur. I think he just wants to be right, period. Like, I don't think it matters who.
I think if you know smart guys, if you have friends or been around people who always want to be the smartest guy in the room, you know he wants to be right.
Okay.
Or
Okay.
and if he doesn't want to be right, he's gonna want to do it his way.
Okay.
And I can almost guarantee you the way that this whole Shedeur thing's panning out is probably not the way that he wants it to go.
Probably not. I want everybody to know they're gonna walk into the game with a pretty set plan for how much they want to play Shedeur, where if he plays bad in the first half, let's just say they're gonna take him out halftime. If he plays bad in the first half or he plays out of his mind in the first half, it's not gonna matter in terms of what goes on in the second half. Like, they're just pulling him regardless. I don't want anybody to try to think in a different world, like, oh, he was great, they're pulling him now. What are they doing? Or he sucked.
No,
and
you
they're
know,
pulling
I'm
him
sorry
now.
to cut you off. You know
No.
what'll be what that is? Oh, the shoulder soreness came in.
Yeah.
That's why he's not playing in the third.
Yeah, gosh, I don't even want to get into that. But I'm with you. Like, I think in a perfect world, obviously both quarterbacks play well. But I think if Shedeur Sanders plays well, it will, in a lot more people's mind, the people who are probably a little more skeptical about this whole thing, like myself, it will make you believe even more, bullets flying, live reps, that he can do it. And truthfully, no doubt deserves the lean over Dylan Gabriel.
Can Shedeur do enough, or Dylan? Can either one of those guys do enough to be like, hey, Kenny, thank you for taking the trade?
For
like,
sure, I think so.
What is that enough though? Like, what do you need to see to be like, you know what? I think we need to just move on from Kenny.
I think it's got to be a perfect preseason out of one of the two, and Pickett doesn't play well.
Is there a world where Dylan Gabriel could get cut?
No. I don't think either rookie's getting cut.
I don't think so either, but I'm just wondering, like, if let's just say Kenny Pickett is obviously miles better than Shedeur and Dylan, you would want to keep him as your backup, especially with the history of the Browns and quarterbacks. And Dylan is just getting surpassed by that's what Gary Barnes was just on 92.3, and he was talking about he thinks that there's a world where they just throw one of these guys on IR and prolong the decision, which could also be an option. So
that's an NHL move. Shout out Jack O'Rourke. The LTIR move, putting somebody on the IR so they can come back a little later, even though they're not deserving of the IR. That's a hockey move right there.
Mm-hmm. So that could be something that they go. Could that be? Who would that be though? Would it be Dylan Gabriel? Would it be Kenny Pickett?
It'd be whoever's hamstring is worse.
Right.
I mean, honestly though, like, it could get to that point. I think, and this was said last week or a couple days ago, not even last week, there's just a world they keep all for.
Nope.
They're not going to cut their third-round pick. I don't even think they're going to cut their fifth-round pick. Like,
I don't think
if
they will
Shedeur,
either.
like, let's say Shedeur didn't play well in the preseason,
Especially after trading.
Yeah, they're not gonna cut him. But I think if it were to get to that point, I don't know. It is really interesting. I do want to end this segment talking a little bit more about Tyler Huntley though, because it's a weird dynamic here. Tyler Huntley, surface value, what we are seeing is coming in because literally you need a backup quarterback for the game, and if Kenny Pickett and Dylan Gabriel aren't playing, you're not rolling Flacco out there. But he's been in the system, and last preseason, I don't know if you remember, was bad with Tyler Huntley. That's why he got cut.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a world that Tyler Huntley does enough to make you think, like, okay, well, let me put it like this. Don't shake your head just yet. Tyler Huntley does enough. Pickett doesn't play well. We want to keep 4 quarterbacks. Is there a world where it's Flacco, Huntley, 2 rookies?
No.
You don't think so?
Not a chance in hell, because we were debating him and DTR last year, and DTR beat him out. There's no world where Tyler Huntley is making this roster. This is the Brucey of the longest yard. Shouldn't have ate that popcorn moment. Like, we're here for week 1 preseason. Let's keep it at that. Here go a couple thousand. Keep it pushing.
Yeah. Hey, you know what? Get play half football, get paid. I don't know how much he's getting paid. Probably a good amount. So be
I'd
it.
do it. Shoot.
And here's the thing, though. It truly is a tryout for Tyler Huntley, because there's teams out there like Tennessee, I think, is in a bad spot in terms of their quarterback room. I think New Orleans has some questions. This is a tryout for him to be a backup, to be a third string somewhere else. So he's obviously going to take it seriously. And who knows? Maybe if he plays well, we're back where we were at almost this exact same time last year saying, why don't we just trade Huntley? I talked about it a bunch, and if he played better in the preseason, I think they would have traded him, but he didn't play well in the preseason. So no way Huntley does anything to even sniff the roster.
No.
Okay.
I mean, he beat us. It's still isn't that crazy to think about? He beat us after in a rainy Cleveland come out after like, bro, that's so. Can we please just get past the Browns as the Browns? I'm tired of living up to that freaking name.
Yeah, gosh. Well, we will see both quarterbacks. We're going to talk a little bit more about the offense, the preseason preview in our final segment. But up next, our second to last segment, we're going to talk defense, what we want to see, who we want to see. Up next on Honored Land on Big Play Sports Network. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back into Honor the Land. I am Max Loeb. He is Chef Zay. This is Big Play Sports Network. We're going to talk a little bit more about the Browns defense as we look towards the preseason. No starters, but Pat, you did want to bring up the starters because I did just release my top 10 defenses. Shocker, the Browns are not on it. They were my honorable mention. I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you have any gripes with this, at least off the top?
Yeah,
Lay it on me.
The Steelers are too high.
Steelers are very high, guys.
Really?
Bump them.
So here's my question for you, Max. Before we even really jump into is, you mentioned how good the Browns defense would be with their health. Where would they be with their health? Because the Eagles, they could have some injuries as well.
I don't think they'd be better than the top. If C.J. Gardner-Johnson's playing the top four, I think it'd be Philly. They'd probably be five. They would probably be five. Maybe four. I think Houston, it's a lot, not hypothetical, it's not the right word, but like Houston's got to put everything together, I think, with the guys they have on their roster, but their roster's unbelievable. So I think Houston, I'd say Browns at 4 or 5. I don't think they're better than Minnesota with everybody healthy. Not Baltimore, not Denver.
Yeah, I see that as well, too, because like the same argument that you're making for the Giants being 7 is kind of the argument for the Browns right now. Honestly.
Kind of, yeah.
It's where your defensive line is where you're hanging your hat on that defense. The Giants' defensive line, pretty close to all time in terms of talent, in my opinion. Those guys are unbelievable. That's exactly what the Browns are trying to replicate. The interesting thing, my kind of X factor for the season for the Browns defense is Jim Schwartz. Like, how aggressive do you want to be? Because, we could get down a little bit in some games. The offense might struggle, but if you get that aggressive Jim Schwartz defense again, they could be really top 10.
And you know what's going to unlock that? Joe Antonio talked about it, a month ago. It's the offense playing complementary football. And, like, I tried to make the rankings just based off the personnel and the coordinator, all this good stuff, but complementary football is always going to play into a defense. I think that's why the Chargers were another one, like Chargers, Browns, Lions. You could put any of those guys at 10. The Chargers were another one where they were the number 1 scoring defense last year. Number 1, and I knew that making this list. But, like, who they lost Asante Samuel. Sure, you got Khalil Mack. I believe they brought in Puna for a defensive tackle regardless. But, like, part of the reason they were so good in terms of overall stats is because they straight up weren't on the field. So these defenses, they are, in my opinion, the 10 best as it relates to the personnel on their roster, not necessarily complementary football. But if the Browns play complementary football, there's no reason that Myles Garrett can't pin his ears back. You can't get that similar package to the Giants where you got your 4 fastest or 4 best pass rushers out there with a guy like Mike Hall in the middle. They can absolutely push that territory. Just much easier said than done, I think.
The key to that is if the Browns can just get a lead. If the Browns can get a lead, and this is just like what it was in 2023. The second they got a lead, you start seeing Myles Garrett go between the legs and go from left to right. And then you start to see crazy blitzes and all of these different things. You get to have a lot more leeway. Fun, exactly. And I'm looking at this front 6 guys that we get. Myles Garrett, Malik Collins, who has had a good camp from everything that we've been hearing. Mason Graham with the expectation. Alex Wright, who me and you both love, who sat in this chair, who's told us about the recovery process. Shelby Harris, a vet who's going to give you his last before he's out of here because it may sound like Joe Tyron. I can never get the
Tyron Shayenka.
Tyron.
I don't know. Regardless,
yes. I am super, 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 super excited to see him because looking at him in camp, maybe it's just like you said, or a little bit ago, recency bias, but he looks a little bit quicker than Obo. Like, not a little bit. He looked like he's quicker than Obo.
Yes,
and they wanted Obo to be that fast edge rusher guy. So just knowing how, and then a guy that we're not even talking about who had so many flashes last year, who I'm even more excited because he could be a cornerstone piece moving forward, Isaiah McGuire. He's been getting a lot of first-team reps with this defense. So if Alex Wright goes down, you're bringing in another guy in Isaiah McGuire. Myles Garrett goes out. Joe Tyron comes in. Like, they are stacked on this front. And if they get a lead, those corners aren't going to have to cover for more than 3 seconds. These blitz packages are going to be crazy. We saw Denzel Ward do a corner blitz in practice. Like, it's going to get fun.
Yeah, it is going to be really fun. And I think the key to the Browns' defense all year long is the defensive line, because that is the strongest suit, but also because it can mask the other question marks and, if we're calling a spade, weaknesses. Like the other outside linebackers. Truthfully, I do worry about the secondary at times. the defensive line's really good, they are going to make life a lot easier. And I think the defensive line is really deep. But I want to talk about the defensive depth because I kind of talked about that as a low light almost throughout camp. Is there anybody you're watching specifically on the defensive side of the ball this preseason game?
I mean, you know, I gotta watch 49. I'm so locked into Carson. He's gonna be one of the guys that I watch the most.
Playing?
I believe he's playing.
Okay.
I don't think I've heard otherwise. He should be playing. I guess we'll be watching the game.
Yeah.
Because, you know,
I mean, all eyes are going to be on the offense.
right.
Who are we
That's
kidding?
where I'm saying, like, it's the whole defense thing. I'm not worried about the defense. I wasn't worried about the defense last year. I wasn't worried about it in 2023. I'm not really worried about the defense because, if anything, I know the players that we have on there, at least the starters, and that is enough to be like, you know what, I can give them. It's almost like the Joe Flacco treatment. I'm like, I'll watch some reps. Obviously, I'm going to be locked into some of these backups and stuff like that because, like you mentioned, the depth, our middle line, our linebacker depth.
Dude,
We
it's
got
bad.
our starters are Bush, Schlesinger, and Diabate, and then after that, it's Jerome Baker, Nathaniel Watson, Winston Reed.
I do really like Winston Reed and Nathaniel Watson. I think they are weapons, but they're sub-package occasional weapons. Like, you need to find your every down guys. Christopher Edmonds, I've talked about a couple times on here, is the guy I'm looking at because in a thin safety room, you need somebody to step up and be that big body, especially the way Grant Delpit plays. Like, he throws himself in there, and you never think injuries will happen when you're playing football, but, like, he puts himself in more difficult situations than a free safety like Ronnie Hickman would be. That's just the reality of it. So if he gets banged up, you need somebody to step in. Christopher Edmonds bodily, like how he's built, is so similar, and he was running with the ones and sub packages, but the twos mainly, some with the threes. That I'm going to be watching 41 the entire game.
I'll give you another one guy that's no one. We got to watch at least. It's going to be raining too. What, Dustin Hopkins, you back? Are you back, brother? Because we need you. I know it's going to be preseason. You may fool us here, but I at least need to see that confidence spewing. I need to see you getting that leg back because what the hell happened in 2023, Dustin Hopkins? We need you this year, brother.
Yeah, absolutely. And we wait to see. Another guy, Ralph Hawley. Shout out to Ralph. We are watching him along that defensive line. We're going to finish up talking about the offensive side of the ball in the preseason game up next on Honor the Land on Big Play Sports Network. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back into Honor Land on Big Play Sports Network. I am Max Loeb. He is Chef Zay. Final segment before the first preseason game against the Carolina Panthers. Obviously, we're watching Shedeur Sanders. We're watching Tyler Huntley. How closely will you be watching other players on this roster? Is there any other offensive players that you have your eye on?
I wish I could be saying Dylan Gabriel. I think that's the most intriguing one is the Dylan Gabriel aspect. But I looking here, I think Luke Floria is one that we should really have our eyes glued. It's so weird how it's like we're not just saying Luke Floria because he was kind enough to come into the show and sit down with us and talk, but it's like I see Edelman and Amendola in him. Every time I look at him, it's like if there's a short guy that's gonna make it, who you can count on to catch a pass no matter what, he's fit the bill, and that's something that the Browns have. I mean, we had David Bell a couple years ago. He was a guy that they were going to on fourth down, and after getting 3 snaps, you know what I mean? Like, it's nice to have a guy that you can rely on in any situation with limited reps because, let's be honest, even if Luke Floria makes the team, how many reps is he going to get? Anytime he gets his package, you know he's going to make a play. So I'm definitely intrigued to see Luke Floria, and then we won't see Cedric Tillman. What's Jamari Thrash going to do? This is a big opportunity for him to make a lot of noise. So the receiver position, and then Harold Fannin. How much fun can he be?
How much is he going to play?
Is he going to play? Right.
I honestly think the rep distribution between him, Dylan Sampson, if we're just in general, Carson Schlesinger, is going to tell you a lot about what the Browns think of these guys in their immediate win-now plan. If they're not playing a lot, that is going to matter more.
Do you think Sampson, because we got to see Sampson up close, and there was no real tell on what they wanted to do with the running back position.
I agree. I think it was really hard to tell because of the Jerome Ford injury. Jerome Ford was not fully healthy.
Right.
And he was out there for some reps. It was clear to see when given the opportunity, he was the first choice. And I believe he was first on the depth chart, if I'm not mistaken. Obviously, it's
I was going to just ask you that.
An initial depth chart.
No, well, right now, the one on the Browns website, or under the scores on ESPN, you know who they have at number 2?
Pierre Strong.
Quishon Junkins.
Oh, okay. Well, that's not updated.
Do you think?
He's not even on. He's technically not on the team. Like,
Technically, you're right.
that was also the same. That was the same depth chart that had Deshaun Watson as a starting quarterback. Does he still have Deshaun?
No,
Watson? Okay.
Joe Flacco started.
But they had Deshaun as a starting quarterback.
Deshaun's not
until
even on this anymore.
A month ago. I would take that with a grain of salt. But more importantly, like, I'm looking at the pass catchers because it's, number one, it's a matter of which receiver is the last to make the roster. But number two, it's a matter of how many you're going to take. Where is that last spot going to fall?
Mm-hmm.
Because when you're looking at a guy I just talked about, DeAndre Carter, going to be on the roster.
Yep.
Jamari Thrash, very, very likely going to be on the roster. Judy, Tillman, Deontay Johnson, all on the roster. Caden Davis is the guy who's been really good. He's been really good, and he's been running with the ones occasionally.
He's ahead of Gage, too.
Dylan, so Gage Larvadane, Luke Floria. To me, those are really the only two fighting for the last spot. But the question is, can either of those guys play so well that last spot becomes available for them? I don't know.
Well, is the receiver? My question is, what spots on the roster do they feel that they can maneuver the most? Because especially if you're going to keep 4 quarterbacks on the roster. If you're going to keep 4 quarterbacks on the roster, I imagine that makes the receiver spot a lot harder.
It does.
We know how much of depth that you need on the offensive line, seeing as though the past recent years have not been great as far as health.
This offseason too.
Yeah. So who are the odd men out? Is it coming from the defense?
I would immediately say defensive line because it's the deepest group, but generally speaking, you don't want to cut down on your trench depth.
Mm-hmm.
So probably not. They're going to probably take 3. So the way I see it, it's probably going to be 3 running backs, which in the past has opened a spot for an extra tight end or an extra receiver. Here's the issue. That spot won't be there if they take 4 quarterbacks. So I don't know. It's hard to rationalize 7 wide receivers being on this Browns roster.
I mean, it's hard to rationalize 4 quarterbacks being on the roster, so I guess it's only a matter of time to see what they do.
We will see. We will see. Do you have any predictions for the game before we sign off?
I think Shedeur Sanders is going to excel. Like, I think what my expectation is, he's going to excel it. I don't know why. It just feels like I'm going to get pissed off somewhere along this whole next month. I'm going to be infuriated because it's going to be like, what more does 12 have to do to prove to y'all that he's it? Like, I still can't wrap my head around how we go months on end talking about how this guy is a first-round pick, a top 5 pick, to magically falling to the 5th round. And all of a sudden, we just are evaluating him different because of where he was picked. But just months ago, he was being I can't wrap my head around that. So my prediction, 12 gonna cut up.
I like that. Well, let me ask you before we finish. If he plays that well and moves, like it's clear to see in terms of rep distribution next week at practice, moves above Dylan Gabriel, would you be happy?
I'll be happy when they stop trying to act like we can't tell. Like, it feels like they're telling us one thing, but our eyes and everything we're seeing is telling another story, which is why you have this weird debate of, well, they're trying to sabotage Shedeur. It's like, I don't think they're trying to sabotage Shedeur.
I think that's one of the dumbest things I've ever heard.
That's stupid. You traded for I can get the business be slimy a little bit, but I don't think they're out there purposely trying to sabotage him. But if they keep trying to feed us this banana taffy and pretend like it's a Rice Krispie treat in my mouth. Like, bro, like, stop telling me one thing and I'm seeing the other. That's what will make me mad. I don't necessarily have to see Dylan Gabriel below Shedeur Sanders to be happy, but don't sit here and tell me that Dylan Gabriel's still ahead and better than Shedeur Sanders when we just saw him come out and perform like.
I got you.
You know what I mean?
That makes sense. So I think in an ideal world where Shedeur succeeds, not in an ideal world. I think if Shedeur does succeed, like noticeably succeeds, and this is not going, let's say 12 for 20 with a touchdown. No, like he's got to overperform.
We're talking 20 for 25.
Yeah. If he overperforms and not just like, if he just is a game manager, this is not happening, guys. But if he overperforms and he does not move above Dylan Gabriel, that I think will upset more people who are more on like a similar track to me where I'm like, I see it, but you got to see it in the preseason.
It's funny you said the word game manager because Cam Newton has been a big game manager guy. what if he's the game manager? Because we're not going to get to see the same type of tape that these coaches are going to see. And what if he had no choice but to game manage? He went through all his reads and then he's hitting the dump off, or he went through all his reads and he's taking the throwaway. Like, that is the type of game manager. Like, are you expecting that out of your 5th round rookie to make those type of game managing decisions out of the gate?
It's tough.
I mean, that could be it. That should be a boost ahead because we haven't seen Dylan Gabriel do it.
Yeah, that is true. And I think at that point, all the trust will go to Kevin Stefanski. And I can tell you for a fact right now, anybody who's really, really pushing a Shedeur agenda will not believe Kevin Stefanski at all. So it's going to be really ugly if that happens. But regardless, we appreciate you guys watching. We appreciate you listening. We will be back after the preseason game. Carolina Panthers, Cleveland Browns. I do have a take I want to rip off before we go. I saw a list. I believe it was Bleacher Report. Best free agent still available. Ezekiel Elliott still out there. Why not? Why not? Short yardage guy, why not? Why not? Why not? Why not? I know a lot of Ohio State fans will want that. I don't know.
Only if Judd's out for like 4 or 6 games. I'll be cool with that.
We'll see. We'll see what happens. We appreciate you guys watching. We appreciate you listening. We'll see you next time on Honor the Land on Big Play Sports Network.